Welcome to Noon Tunes with me, David Molk. Here to share a few things, my music, and today, courtesy of Wave Street Studios, we've taken a little trip to Tibet, and I want to tell a little bit about how this story evolved for me. Early in my life, I was pretty much completely focused on music. Went to the Oberlin Conservatory of Music for flute, studied some ethnomusicology, some ancient music notation. But I did run into fiddlers and banjo players there. A guy named Rodney Miller who played the fiddle, Paul Brown played the banjo. And I got interested in the mountain dance music of America. And I left college, went down to live in southern Ohio. Much to the consternation of my parents, I joined up with a circus that came through town at one point. But I lived out in the woods, under a waterfall, taught myself how to play the fiddle and the banjo. And eventually ended up in southern Indiana, Bloomington, Indiana, where there was a very thriving community dance scene, where the contra dance of New England had come together with the wild southern fiddle styles of the Southeast American culture, and it was really exciting. And then I had a music store there for 3 years. And there was one day that into my music store comes this Mongolian Tibetan Buddhist Lama. His name was Chögyal Lama. And he had an instrument, a Mongolian instrument, the horse-headed fiddle, the murin kur, I believe, that he needed repaired. And that was one of the things I did in my music shop. He said, this needs a new face on it, needs a new hair in the bow. I got a horse tail to put in his bow and fixed his instrument. And in return, he made a few gifts to me, some candied apples, a sachet of flowers, and what was the most precious of all, he taught me a mantra of Buddha goddess Tara. And I was very taken with this. I started chanting this mantra. And I'm not here to convert anyone or impress my beliefs on them, but no, I know there's so much need for protection, for guidance, for alleviation of the suffering that we have in this world. And having been raised in a liberal kind of religious environment myself, I gravitated towards these teachings of Buddha when I heard them. What actually happened was that then I sold my music store. I was learning Indian music from my friend Willie Schwartz, and also out at the Ali Akbar Khan School in San Rafael. And I sold the music store at one point and decided I wanted to go to India to study the Indian music, to really immerse myself in the bansuri, the North Indian bamboo flute. And I tried to prepare as well as I could. I had addresses that I collected, and I got to Bombay, present-day Mumbai, and I didn't have a whole lot of money. Staying in hotels and eating in restaurants, it was disappearing fast. I tried to find people to help me. None of the addresses that I had panned out. I found one teacher, but it wasn't going to be very suitable for me. And I went to one outskirts of Mumbai and drank some water that had some white sediment floating around in it. And I got so sick. I made it back to Mumbai, and I was just feeling like I was going to die. But I was continuing to say Tara's mantra. I just recited Tara's mantra continuously. I was writing out the letters of the mantra. And I had one of these candied apples that Chögyal Lama had given me. And I just said a Hail Mary. I said a prayer to Tara. Ate one of these candied apples, went to sleep. When I woke up the next morning, I felt fine. And that day I found the perfect teacher for my flute. He was retired. He had all the time in the world to teach me ragas. And he had sons who were working in the film industry, and they introduced me to one of the great directors of films at that time, Pyare Lal, who along with his partner Lakshmikant, were one of the biggest film orchestras of the time. And he wrote something out for me. I played it off, and he says, "You're hired." And so then, from that point on, I was playing along with Hari Prasad Chaurasia in this orchestra, Shiv Kumar Sharma, Brij Narayan, and making good money for India. I could then eat in restaurants all I wanted. Then this teacher also helped me to find a place that I could rent by the month and cook my own food, and everything turned around. I ended up working for about a year in the films in Mumbai. And when that came to an end, I went on a tour with a jazz rock band to Goa. And then at some point I remembered a suggestion of a friend of mine who said, why don't you look up the Dalai Lama when you're in India? I said, what for? Little did I know that this was going to completely change the direction of my life. I got up to Dharamsala, met an Indian fellow who took me in, got a job teaching music to the Tibetan kids at TIPA, the Tibetan Institute for Performing Arts. And then went down to investigate the teachings that were being given at the library of Tibetan archives between lower and upper Dharamsala, McLeod-Ganj. And when I heard the teacher there, Geshe Dargye, I was so captivated by the logic of the teachings that he was giving, the ideas around karma, that if we create problems, that we're going to have to be the ones to clean them up ourselves. I said, that makes sense. And he had such good humor, he was so generous. And at one point, a friend of mine and I asked him if he would give us a Tara initiation, an authorization to receive even more blessings and power from this practice of the Buddha goddess Tara. I had seen pictures of Tara. I had a block print, a beautiful black and white block print of Tara, and I didn't know much. So I went in the morning of this. He'd given the okay to give this ceremony. I went in that morning to see him, to see if there were some offerings I should bring or something. And in the course of talking to the translator, I mentioned something about white Tara, at which point the translator sat up, what? And went back into Geshe Dargye's room and said, they want white Tara initiation. And Geshe Dargye had been preparing to give a green Tara initiation. He came out of that room looking like a wrathful deity, saying, there will be no initiation today. And I just dove for his feet. I went and I grabbed onto his foot and I hung on. I said, no, I don't care if green, white, whatever color she's, I don't, it's a fine. And I held on until he relented and said, okay, we will do it today. And since then, I really feel that Tara has saved my life on numerous occasions. When I went to the library there, one of the first things that Geshe Dargye would do would be to chant the mantra of Tara. And just out of my own wish, I would like to share this. I'm often amazed that people have not heard of this Buddha goddess Tara or know her mantra. Her story is really inspiring, given the acceptance or the understanding of reincarnation in the East. She, in a previous life, had been a princess in a kingdom where there was a Buddha and a community, and she was able, in her position, to serve that community and then receive teachings from that Buddha. And she'd been listening to the teachings, meditating on them, and she'd been making quite good progress. And so at one point, someone, maybe a monk, came up to her and said, you're doing really well now. All that's left to do now is just take rebirth as a man and attain enlightenment. And this was something that the princess found quite perturbing. she stomped her foot. She said, echoing the words of the Heart Sutra, no eye, no ear, no nose. She said, in this world, there is no man, no woman, no living being, no self. All these are just imputed by the mind, thus are beings deceived. And she vowed that she would always take birth as a woman, up until enlightenment, that she would attain enlightenment as a woman. And that's what she proceeded to do. She attained such heights in her realization that she was able to go out in her illusory body, her ethereal body, and liberate hundreds and thousands of living beings every day, even before she would eat breakfast in the morning. And so that's how she became known as Tara, the liberator. Other names for her are Ture, the swift one, because she came to embody the swiftness of the wind to alleviate the sufferings of beings. And she came to embody the very active principle of all awakened beings in whatever form they take, whether it's spiritual teachers of whatever tradition, wherever there is help from the Buddhas. It's in essence her enlightened energy, the chi, that is there. And so in this library, it was anyone who wandered in could hear Geshe Dargye chant the mantra of Tara. And so I would just like to share it with you for anyone who would like to learn it. It's not a mantra that's one of the most secret, kept completely private. It's one of Tara's is universal to all the traditions of Buddhism, Tibetan Buddhism, Mahayana Buddhism, and every Tibetan would know her mantra, would probably even know a sutra by heart that Buddha taught called the 21 Praises of Tara. And I've done a translation of that. Not sure if this is the time, but I do want to chant Tara's mantra for you now. And so, first of all, learn it from me. Just imagine that Tara is somehow coming through this limited form to you, and feel this mantra, the sound of it, sinking into your heart, becoming one with your being. And by the way, green Tara is considered to be the root Tara, and then white Tara and many other aspects are different emanations of her, different aspects of her, in the countless forms that a Buddha and a Buddha goddess is able to manifest in our world, and also in every sort of aspect that can help beings. But anyway, so repeat after me. Om Tari, Tu Tari, Turi Soha. 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 And the way the Geshe Dargye would chant it was Om Tari, Tu Tari, Turi Soha. 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 So sometime when I'm able to put up some captions, I'll chant my translation of the 21 Taras praises for whoever is interested to be able to chant those in English. I I tried to memorize them in Tibetan for quite a while. Got along with it, but with my background in music, I just love the power that comes through in singing and chanting chanting in your own language. So here, I want to sing a song that I wrote about one of the emanations of Tara, the goddess Saraswati, here pictured, accepted in a goddess of Hinduism and Buddhism, both, a goddess of wisdom and learning, as well as of the arts and music and composition. And I thought to call on Tara, to call on Saraswati for the healing of our world, for the peace of our world. In this song, I express a lot of my feelings that I've developed around the teachings and practice of Buddha's teachings. I say, I take heart in this pure love, source of all happiness, and call on you to join us here, sapphire-haired goddess of song. So I'm calling Saraswati. So this is set to a traditional Irish tune, which Celtic music will forever be coming through in a lot of my music that I do. I take heart in this pure love, source of all happiness, and call on you to join us here, sapphire-haired goddess of song. We need you here now more than ever. Bring us awakening wisdom. Rings on your fingers and bells on your toes to heal this weary world's woe. Weave a spell in all our hearts to mind our mortality, to live each moment as our last, and to our essence be true. We are all travelers, where are we going? From this path's brief intertwining, bring us full circle of our wandering to a melody springs from within. Looking into your clear eyes, I see our ties, they run deep. A common thread felt flowing through your wishes, they seem my own. So with her magical lute of lapis, raise our voices together, calling forth one ecstatic vision of a world at peace into being. And there in Dharamsala, my friend Glenn Mullins was living there at the time and playing with his band on occasion, the subterranean Vajra hammer band. And I would play flute with it. I'd been studying this bamboo flute in Mumbai, for a year. And while it was nice, I could sit on the top of this building and play, and it was a lot like living in New York City, for a year, even more congestion and pollution and so when I took my friend's advice up and went to North India and went to these in Dharamsala, in the foothills of the Himalayas, and suddenly I was looking out over amazing vistas and beautiful scenes. That in itself was just such a liberating experience. I played my flute looking out over the mountains, and I would also at times play my fiddle with Glenn's band. And so I'd like to going to play in a little fiddle tune for you now. Maybe a couple. Don't have this terribly planned out. But one of the great old favorites of the Appalachian fiddle and banjo music is the tune called Shady Grove. And in West Virginia, they had a sort of a different way of playing it that I heard. And I'll see if I can play that here. What appealed to me about this old time music as different, as distinguished from the more fast bluegrass music, which tends to be rather jazzy and oriented towards individuals taking solos. The old time music was much more of a community sort of, let's get into the round of this music together, playing it together over and over. And I kind of like music that goes into a trance-like sort of state, especially if it has kind of a lilting. This music captivated me, and I love the way it was so informal, and there was no pressure up in front of lights to not make a mistake, and just improvise with it to a certain extent. But and for those who are interested in some of the details of this, what I'm doing with the harmonica, one of the things that I discovered was that I could play minor tunes on a major harmonica. If you've ever looked at a piano, the major scale is from C to C. But if you go up to D, then you get a somewhat minor scale. It's actually called the Dorian because it has a major sixth in it. But as long as you don't need a minor sixth for your tune, you can use, say, what I'm doing here now, using a G harmonica to play a tune which is really in a kind of A minor, or kind of an A minor pentatonic, because it does skip that sixth degree. And so if anyone would like to hear more about that, learn more about that, I'm happy to share my ideas. If you can't figure it out for yourself, you can always write to me at my email, which is davidwmolk@gmail.com. And I'll be happy to send you words of my translations or talk to you about any of the music, figure out how we can get together to play or to learn from each other. And then I'm going to try to go into another polka, I think, after this, which will then go shift over to the key of G. which and it might more normally be played in the key of D, but I'm shifting it over to a lower key because I like playing this low harmonica with the fiddle. Higher up the cherry tree, the riper grow the cherries. The more you hug and kiss them girls, sooner they'll get married. Shady grove, my true love, shady grove, my darling, shady grove, my true love, I'm bound to shady grove. last tune was, I think, called "The Bull at the Wagon." Normally played in the key of A. I switched it over to G there. Living in, as I have for many years in Big Sur, sometimes I was kind of isolated from other musicians. There was times when I had some friends to play with. We had bands, but some of this playing the fiddle and the harmonica together may have come out of my wanting to have somebody to play with, other sounds to play with. And in any case, I didn't need to worry about what key I was in because I wasn't playing with anyone else. So whatever key I wanted to put a tune in, it made no difference. How about a little Irish jig? We'll transport the Celtic jig. I assume we're still here in Tibet. Have a little jig called the castle jig. Switched over into another jig there called Cliffs of Moher. These are some beautiful cliffs on the west of Ireland, County Clare, where I did manage to go and played with musicians in the pubs in Ireland. And right there near Cliffs of Moher, I went to visit a very famous whistle player, Mikko Russo. And there was a really sweet tune that I learned from him called Child of My Heart. He would play on a tin whistle, somewhat like this. And here's how it went. So coming back to our Tibetan theme here today, if anyone is interested in the goddess, Buddha goddess Tara, please recite that mantra every day, and especially whenever you need to call on her for protection, if you're wanting to calm someone down, to find something important that's lost. Tara is very swift. She will come to your aid. The stories about her saving beings miraculously are legion. And I have to testify that I am one of them in the midst of car wrecks, in the midst of being held up at gunpoint. I've been supported and helped by Buddha goddess Tara. This is her green form here. So I'll make one final dedication prayer in the traditional melody, but with my translation. All through this virtue may we swiftly, having gained Aryatara state, place each and every sentient being without exception in her state. Thank you so much for joining me today.